The Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, KC, Secretary-General of the Commonwealth. Welcome to #Peace Day.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back every year, 25 years worth, but it's lovely still to be here.
Thank you. So the first question I wanted to ask you is there's been a few milestones for your journey to become the Secretary-General of the Commonwealth. There's a lot of young people all over the world watching who would love to know, how did you do it?
I think it's a really extraordinary thing that I can't quite believe either, because as you know, Jeremy, I was born in a small but rather beautiful island in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And I'm one of 12 children. I'm my parents' 10th only child out of the 12. There were 7 boys and 5 girls. And I never really believed that I would achieve any of the things that I have apparently now done. So I left the Caribbean when I was really small. I grew up in the East End of London. I became a lawyer at the age of 20. I did my degree. At 21, I qualified. And then at 35, I became the first black woman ever to take silk, which is a senior barrister, a Queen's Counsel. That's what they called in those days. And I always thought that I would stay in that profession. But since really 1997, things changed, because I went to the House of Lords and I became Baroness Scotland. It was another surprise. And then in 1999, I became a minister. I was the foreign minister in the House of Lords. And then in 2001, I became deputy to the Lord Chancellor, minister responsible for civil justice. And I became a Privy Councillor. And then 2 years later, in 2023, I became deputy to the Home Secretary for 4 years. And then in 2007, I became Her Majesty's first female Attorney General, which was the first woman to take that post since about 1315. So all of these were firsts, which I could never really have expected. But really, I just wanted to serve. I wanted to make a difference and to help. And negotiating peace, I suppose, was always a fundamental part of my my work, bringing people who were in conflict together and trying to solve their problems.
And then the Secretary-General?
And then in 2016, I became the first woman, I was the 6th Secretary-General, to become the Secretary-General of the Commonwealth. And the Commonwealth is now 56 countries. That's about 2.7 billion people from 5 different regions in the world. It crosses the 6 great basins of the ocean. And it's been a phenomenal journey, because the fundamental thing at the core of the Commonwealth, it brings all these different countries and peoples together, is how do you create harmony? How do you create peace? How do we help each other to do better and to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals? And really, the Sustainable Development Goals were created almost by the Commonwealth. In 2012, the Commonwealth came together to say, what are we about? Why are we together? Why are we this family? When we're so many different, got such a difficult history. Why are we sticking together? And they came up with the Commonwealth Charter. And the Commonwealth Charter, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, 1 to 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals is actually 1 to 16 of the Commonwealth Charter. And then when you look at SDG 17, which is all about partnership, that is the core of what the Commonwealth does. So it was right in the preamble, right in the beginning. It's our raison d'etre. It's coming together in partnership to build a better, peaceful world, which is really leaving no one behind. So the Commonwealth of itself has always been a great organ to deliver peace.
And you're trying to manifest harmony, peace on a global scale. But you also have been very committed to manifesting peace in the home, and your work around the issue of eliminating violence against women, around domestic abuse, is absolutely incredible. I mean, so you're doing both, and you've always cared about both.
Yeah, I have. And so for my whole life, I've been looking at how do we get peace in the home? Because I believe if you don't have peace in the home, you'll never have peace in the world. How do we learn how to love, how to care, how to nurture, how to support, and how to encourage? All that comes in the most intimate relations that we have from the moment we're born, and those primary relations happen in our family. So when you have a fractured family, when you have a violent family, when a child doesn't learn how to love, then you don't learn how to be peaceful, not just with yourself, but with others. And you've seen how domestic violence really harms children. If we look at those children who do not thrive, who are overrepresented in the levels of dysfunction in terms of criminal behavior, in terms of alcoholism, drug addiction, or just self-destruction, they are heavily influenced by those who have suffered terribly in childhood as a result of domestic violence. So I have been fighting that for my whole life. I've started doing cases which involved people who'd been really damaged in that way from the time I was 21. And I took that issue right the way through my career in terms of public inquiries and then into what we did as a minister from the whole of my ministerial position. And at one stage, I was the chair of the interministerial group on domestic violence during the time when I was a minister, and we managed to reduce domestic violence by 64%, and we saved 7.1 billion in economic costs. So I've been pushing the fact that that's fundamentally important. Domestic violence affects 1 in 3 women in the world, and it's the greatest cause of morbidity. And if you suffer so desperately, then your ability to respond, to thrive, to do that which you could do is really diminished. And so it's been a fight that I have pursued for my whole life. And it's something that we took into the Commonwealth. We created Commonwealth Says No More to domestic and sexual violence. And I believe together, all of us have worked really hard. And we've, over the last 25 years of Peace One Day, and have concentrated on these issues. And I really think Peace One Day has made a difference. All of us working stalwartly to change the paradigm which too many people live in.
Yeah. I mean, Patricia, you've made an enormous difference to me and to Peace One Day. I mean, learning from you and being able to have the privilege of spending time with you, honestly, I just can't tell you how grateful I am and how much it means to me. And I know that you know that. I mean, you're a massive inspiration to so many, and your knowledge and wisdom on these important issues for everyone is just second to none.
Well, I've been so privileged because, you know, one of the most amazing things is when people allow you to come into their lives, and when you can work with people at a time when they are really low and they are frightened and they need help and they support. And to be able to stand with people during that time and walk with them is a huge privilege. And whether it's an individual family or a country, if you look at the work that we've done as a Commonwealth, so many of our countries from time to time are in perilous positions where parties are in acute disagreement and there is concern that the whole country might implode. And so as the Commonwealth, to be able to go into those situations, to walk with people, to help people, to reduce the likelihood that there will be armed or other conflict is a huge privilege. And the Commonwealth has been doing that for the whole 75 years. If you look back at the time of Sonny Ramphal, may God rest his soul because we've just lost him, he was the second Secretary General, but during his term, we dealt with apartheid in Southern Africa. And that was bringing peace between people. But if you then look at 1989, when we looked at Langkawi, which is all about peace with nature, because in the Langkawi Declaration, the Commonwealth was first to say that if we don't do something about climate change, that this would be an existential threat to all of us. And look at what has happened. We know that that threat is now real, and the Commonwealth is pushing as hard as we can to support the countries who are adversely affected. And unfortunately, all of our 56 countries are adversely affected. So trying to heal that has been incredibly important. And we know that women and children are most desperately affected by climate change. And so at every stage you see that we need peace in order to be the difference we want to make. And looking back, it's been one of the great privileges of my life that whether it's been individual families or institutions or countries or regions or the Commonwealth, to be able to be part of that peace delivering mechanism has been an extraordinary honour.
So, Secretary General, you have been a supporter of Peace One Day from the beginning. And now 3 billion people are aware of the day. You've been a huge part of making that possible. There's a decrease in violence. There's huge levels of behavioural change, taking place. Why? What made you stand by me and Peace One Day so much? I mean, because it's been incredible.
Well, I just saw that what you and Peace One Day were trying to do was something that the world desperately needed. And the world needs hope, particularly our young people need hope. And so many people would have said, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can effectively create in order to have the mechanism to push back. Now, you didn't believe that. I didn't believe it. But what we did know was this was the time for the majority who thirst for peace to call for it. And that unless we spoke, unless we generated that hope, unless we started on the journey, then it couldn't be delivered. And I think it was because I kept on thinking, and I know you thought too, it's always said the only thing that enables evil to prevail is if good men and women remain silent. And Peace One Day was an opportunity for us to give a voice to those good men and women, young people, boys and girls, who did not want to be silent, who thirsted for peace and were trying to find a way to have that peace. So often people say there is nothing you can do. You aren't important. You're too small. You're too insignificant. And Peace One Day was saying, no, we can be the difference, as Gandhi said, that we need to make in the world. Or remember what Nelson Mandela said, everything looks impossible until it's done. And what Peace One Day was saying was, firstly, we can have this day. A day in the calendar, 21st of September, when the whole world will come together for peace and do something positive, creative to deliver it. And someone had to start it. And that someone was you. And I have always been determined to do everything I humanly can to support that initiative, because the thirst for peace hasn't been satisfied, but it needs to be. And it will take all of us. This is not something that countries can do on their own. Institutions can do on their own. Businesses can do on their own. Foundations can do on their own. This is something which needs all of us individually to make a commitment and to understand that we can do this if we choose. And the fact that you and all the billions of people who've now been touched in the last 25 years are doing this is hugely important, because I've heard from so many people that they've been amazed by what has been achieved in the last 25 years. And the most important thing, I think, which has been achieved is hope. People have hope. Do you remember all those people who said it won't make any difference? Why are you bashing your head? There'll be no quantifiable change. Well, there has been. There has been quantifiable change. The world is more peaceful. There is more hope. Young people have been enabled to see their actions make a difference. And so for as long as I am here, in whichever capacity I happen to be, I'll always be supporting you and Peace One Day.
Thank you so much, Secretary General. That means so much. And I think that's a beautiful way for us to conclude. And I never want to, because there's so much I want to ask you. But I know that you have a lot to do each day, especially on a day of peace as today. The last thing I'd like to say is to the young people of the Commonwealth, 2.6, I think, billion people that are a part of the Commonwealth, and indeed other young people around the world. What message do you have for them in terms of inspiring them to believe that they can make a difference by themselves, but also by working together?
Well, I think I'm incredibly proud of the 6% of the Commonwealth who are under the age of 30. That's probably more than 1.5 billion young people. And what I've seen is that their energy, their passion, their real courage can be the difference we need to see in the world. And so I would say to them, never doubt yourself. Never believe that you are insignificant. You are as powerful as you choose to be. And if you all come together and choose peace, then peace will choose you. And you will make our world happier, kinder, better. So what I'd say to the young people is, please don't give up. We need you. We will walk beside you and we'll cheer you on when you do that which we dream of doing but have not yet achieved. So I'd say, go for it. You can do this. And if anyone tells you they can't, just say to them, watch me.
Secretary General, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland Casey, thank you so much and happy Peace Day.
Happy Peace Day, Jeremy.